How are we doing, everybody, and welcome to Russell Heritage Golf. Today we're going to be talking about one tip that you need for the driver. What I've done recently is I've created a few little videos on driver on the channel, and I've talked about them in more detail. Now you'll understand upon the conclusion of today's video as to how you're going to get a feeling for the one tip that you need. First and foremost, you just need to talk through the sequence of events that would happen. Firstly, you would create a rotation up towards the top. This would establish pressure in towards the trail side. Then as I support my lead arm up in the air, you can see that as I start to rotate my lower body, the way that my shoulder would naturally progress through the spinal movement towards the target. So you can see the way that it starts to work relatively horizontally, or it might work slightly downward, depending on which professional golfer we look at relative to how the hips move. But the point is that it's making its way across back towards the target through a rotational movement. Now, what would start to happen from here is that the shoulder would have to start going up. As the shoulder goes up, it would then encourage a down cocking motion on the back of the ball like so. The obliques would start to work on this side, and then you've almost got to imagine that, kind of like a catapult, the club is going to be going up in this direction, and then you're going to counterbalance it by really feeling the activation down these obliques, and see the way my shoulder goes up and behind my head to give you the maximum in terms of distance. So, based upon theory, then how do you find a way to create that sort of feeling, and what is the only tip that you need? Okay, so how are you going to get this sort of feeling for this sort of movement I've just discussed to happen naturally? Well, the answer lies potentially in weight. So if you gave yourself an object which was considerably heavier than you're used to swinging a golf club, then what would naturally start to happen is that your body would have to counteract this sort of idea to stop you kind of being dragged along with the club, if you like. So your body would start to activate these muscles so you can still stay balanced and possess the athleticism that's needed. Now, there are quite a few of these training aid companies now on the market where they basically a much heavier shaft than we're accustomed to feeling, with additional weight on the end of the club. Now, this one in particular, Swing Speed Golf, is something which I've used recently, and the benefit of this one is that, well, it's not too expensive, right, for one, and two, you get the adjustability of the weight in the club head end. So it's similar to the kind of adjustments you can make with the driver. You get the torque, you get the range, so on and so forth. That goes on the top of the club, you screw it in and you can adjust the weight applicably. Now, the benefit of this is that, well, one, the shaft is incredibly stiff, and then two, by adding the additional heavier weight onto the end of the club and screwing it in, is going to give you this sort of sense, if you like, of kind of catapulting the club. So this sort of using your body to counteract how quickly it's going to be moving. By simply swinging something like this at home in the garden, you'll start to get a sense of how your body would react to weight. Now, the thing is, like I said, you don't necessarily have to buy a training aid, but if you are going to experiment with other objects that you can pick up either at home or down a hardware store, just be careful going excessively heavy in the weight, just in case it starts to pull your body around. You don't necessarily want to get injured. So, like I said, that's why this coming with the 3 adjustable weights is a benefit. Now, the simplicity is that you're just going to try and swing it as fast as you possibly can. And what it's going to do is that you'll naturally find that as you turn, transition, and then as you start to swing fast, then you'll notice as your lead shoulder goes up and behind, you'll start to activate the obliques down that lead hand side, because it has to counteract the weight that's going the opposite direction. Otherwise, you would be pulled forward. And obviously, that's what we don't want. So if you want a good feeling for how to start generating more distance with the driver, and that only tip that you need, then my suggestion would be looking at something like this. And if you're interested in looking down this avenue, the link is in the description box below to the website where you can get these. But then also any sort of weighted product that you feel like you might be able to get accessibility to will definitely help. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Always appreciate a thumbs up. Remember, it's absolutely free to press that subscribe button. If you're going to do that, then you might as well press the little bell icon, because it means you'll receive notifications every time a new video comes out. I'll catch up with you guys again soon.